Hello and welcome to The Mint. I'm Cecilia Kamputa and we're joining you live from our ZN studios in Harare, Zimbabwe. Now, ahead on our show, Zimbabwe is stepping into a new digital era with artificial intelligence set to transform key sectors of the economy and public services. At the heart of this drive is the Smart Zimbabwe 2030 Master Plan aimed at boosting innovation, efficiency, and inclusive growth. A recent AI readiness assessment report developed by UNESCO, Research ICT Africa and local partners maps out the country's strengths and gaps. It calls for urgent action on ethical AI, stronger regulation, improved digital infrastructure, and more local expertise. While challenges remain, the report paints an optimistic picture. With the right investments and ethical guardrails, AI can power Zimbabwe's development and deliver real benefits for all. Now, to help me take a deeper look into the assessment report, I'll be joined in the studio by Emmanuel Maguranyanga, an AI expert. Don't go anywhere. The Mint will be right back.
Catch exclusive interviews every weekday for candid, exciting, and thought-provoking conversations with your host, Erika Ndoro.
We talk about arts, we can talk about sports, we can even talk about politics, and sometimes we venture into a nice guitaristic play. The one story where you can't get out of your head. Wakatarisa munhu so Erika, like where you're sitting. Ndozongokona bata face so pasina munhu.
Wakasiya music yako yo afro chakuti ndo music manje no yeMzimbabwe.
And I'm sure they're still saying the same thing now.
Yeah, so
Shona kana kuti chindevere kana mumwe mutauri muno muZimbabwe ndiwe iwewe ndiwo rupawo rwako ndicho chidadiso chako.
Catch me, Erika Ndoro, right here on ZTN Prime every single Monday at 7 p.m. whilst we get exclusive.
Didn't graduate. I guess I blew it.
You couldn't advise him anything. He would just look at you and say, so who do you think you are?
We were just like really spoiled.
And then they just give me the receipt and I'd pay.
The guy walks in one day and then he says that he wants to make a movie.
He was blowing the money.
There was just like this habit that he had where as soon as he got money, it was gone.
I just didn't have the skills or the experience.
This money, I could see it disappear so fast.
Welcome back to The Mint. I'm Cecilia Kamputa and we're joining you live from our ZTN studios in Harare, Zimbabwe. Now, as I alluded to before the break, I'm joined in the studio by Emmanuel Maguranyanga to take a deeper look into the recently released AI Readiness Assessment Report for Zimbabwe. Now, to get straight into the report, Emmanuel, welcome to the show and thank you for joining us this good afternoon.
Yeah, welcome as well, and thank you so much for the invite.
All right, now
Most
jumping
welcome, yes.
into it, what do you think are the most promising opportunities AI presents for Zimbabwe's economic growth and innovation, especially when you're looking at the framework of the Smart Zimbabwe 2030 Master Plan?
All right, so really, if you were to look at it, I think we look at the four sectors. We look at the benefits that the AI is going to make the citizen or the country reap from the benefits of AI. We are looking at health, we are looking at telemedicine, we are looking at agriculture, we are looking at, in agriculture, we are looking at smart farming and education, we are looking at chatbots, we are looking at our students, the students in the educational sector, they can research better, and also we are looking at the fintech. We are seeing lots of models that are making the fintech inclusive to the overall population of the country.
All right, now the report states that AI is set to transform the world at an unprecedented pace. Do you think Zimbabwe is prepared for this rapid shift, and what immediate actions need to be done for us to catch up with the global world?
Wow, so really, I think the selection for Zimbabwe means that Zimbabwe have got an advantage point in terms of its readiness. So if you are to look at the tool that they use what is called the readiness methodology. So you look at these two, you see that it begins to look at the culture, it begins to look at the economic, you see it begins to look at the social impacts around the country. So you begin to see that Zimbabwe have got actually a fair advantage to actually begin on to reap to these AI benefits. So well, I would say Zimbabwe is at least at a vantage point of this technology.
So, and when we talk about AI, we also factor in issues of privacy, transparency. How is Zimbabwe ensuring that AI development aligns with these ethical principles and issues of reducing bias and upholding accountability?
All right, so recently you saw the government made stronger efforts in terms of the Data Protection Act, which came out recently, and also you begin to see that the government have been making efforts in terms of infrastructure, because AI this is artificial tools, right? So, but however, they need physical infrastructure. So we have seen the rollout of the 5Gs around Net1, EcoNet. So I believe we actually doing enough in terms of the policy level and the regulation level. There's a fair action that is happening along that side, and also on the infrastructure, I believe there's also a fair action and fair inputs that are being done over that side.
And given the ongoing concerns about brain drain looking at Zimbabwe, what strategies have been put in place to retain and attract skilled professionals critical for AI policy, research, development?
Okay, so I think there is also a fair efforts that are being done. You look at our universities right now, they're beginning on to do AI programs, and as of recent, I was looking over, I saw that the Ministry of Skills and Audit, they're actually training over 1.2 million youth with the skills of AI. So basically, what has to be done is the skilling of people to use AI systems and get to know how best they can then begin on to use AI in their respective fields.
All right, you're talking about how they are upskilling or skilling the human resources that are in when we're looking at AI issues. But when we're looking at brain drain, most of these people are skilled and then they leave the country with the skills that they would have gotten from Zimbabwean institutions. What incentives are being put in so that after they have been trained and skilled, they stay and give back to the community or the companies that are local?
All right, so with that respect, I believe the upcoming of the new startups and the new opportunities that AI is bringing, basically I think that the opportunities of employment, that's the only way that we can then keep our people that are trained with these skills. So I believe the upcoming AI opportunities, job opportunities, they really have to be nurtured well and grown so well, so that these young people and these old people with these skills, they then don't leave the country, but they actually stay and then put in the input of their skills into the economy.
All right.
Yes.
Going back to the report, it calls for the harmonization of ICT policies and sector-specific strategies. Which key areas need alignment, and what timelines do you think have been set for these reforms to realign ICT policies and sector-specific strategies?
All right, so basically, I think it doesn't take so much time for the current policies and the current regulations to actually align, so that they can regulate and they can really police the AI tools that are in place right now. So I believe, like I mentioned earlier on, there's the Data Protection Act. It then actually makes it possible that there's no phishing, there's no any other cyberbullying in use of these artificial artificial intelligence tools. That's one. And secondly, as well, I believe the relevant ministries have heard that they are making relevant steps to actually control and assess each and every artificial intelligence tools that is rolled out to the public. So I think those are fair policies and regulations in order to police the artificial intelligence tools.
All right.
Yes.
Looking at Zimbabwe, and I think it also goes to sub-Saharan Africa and Africa as a whole, there are issues of the digital divide. How is the government of Zimbabwe addressing digital divides, including gender, youth, and cultural inclusion in the design and the rollout of AI technologies?
All right, so basically I think the first and foremost that is supposed to be addressed is the issue of infrastructure. And as I mentioned, it's access to internet. And I think we as a country are at a vantage point because we have seen a nationwide rollout of Starlink kits and other technologies like the 5G technology. So that's the first step to actually include if it's in our country or the African or sub-African countries, we are looking at the rural and remote areas. So how that is made possible, we are seeing at Starlink as that's an infrastructure. We are looking at 5G networks. That's also the infrastructure that supports. And also, as I mentioned earlier on, the training of the 1.2 million youths around the country. Most of these programs, they are outreach programs which are done outside of Harare. So basically, I think those are also fair efforts that are being made to make sure that we have inclusive in terms of the people that have got these AI skills.
All right.
Yes.
Now, time for us to take a breather. After the break, we continue with a conversation with Emmanuel, looking at the recently released Zimbabwe AI Preparedness Assessment Report by UNESCO. Don't go anywhere. The Mint will be right back.
Captain Wally J is about to take you to boot camp.
It's the riveting science and tech show that keeps you up to date with the hottest gizmos on the block and revealing the illustrious and innovative visionaries in Zimbabwe. So much to see, you'll keep swiping.
This cherry red beauty is the Dairy Auto M7 mini electric car.
They've designed our brute force incubator board.
Look at what we've got here.
Solar powered scarecrow was part of the project that I was supposed to complete.
Catch Swipe every Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. on ZTN Prime, DSTV channel 294. Get the picture?
Dental checkups, experiments, games.
The mixture is making bubbles and the bubbles have changed color. Our balloon has been filled by carbon dioxide.
We have it all right here on Happy Sprouts. Catch us exclusively on ZTN Prime, DSTV channel 294.
Harare, tune into the beat.
Capitalk 100.4 FM, your source for news, business, sports, fashion, and more.
Experience the pulse of Harare's culture and lifestyle.
Capitalk 100.4 FM, Harare's top radio station.
Join the conversation with Zimbabwe's top personalities.
Subscribe now for fresh and infotainment content daily.
Capital 100.4 FM, Harare's heartbeat.
World where music transcends boundaries, where rhythm and melody unite the hearts of people, comes a show that celebrates the power of music like never before. Get ready to dive into a sonic journey that will leave you mesmerized and yearning for more. Welcome to the captivating world of Z Vibes. Vibe to it, baby.
Welcome back to The Mint. I'm Cecilia Kamputa and we're joining you live from Mars 10 Studios in Harare, Zimbabwe. So I'm still joined in the studio by Emmanuel Maguranyanga, where we're looking at the recently released Zimbabwe AI Preparedness Assessment Report. So Emmanuel, continuing with our conversation, what efforts are underway to integrate AI education in our secondary and tertiary institutions, and how can the government of Zimbabwe incentivize our graduates who are abroad to contribute to local AI advancement without them coming back to Zimbabwe, but contributing wherever they are around the globe?
All right, so I'll first take on the first question in terms of what is the government doing with regards to actually putting efforts for our higher and tertiary students. So basically, I also mentioned it earlier on that actually there are efforts to begin to put on the AI courses in their syllabuses, which is currently happening, and you begin to see some of the colleges and the universities, they have already begun on to do so. And also to the second question, what can the Zimbabwean youth or the Zimbabwean students outside the country do to actually contribute to the AI landscape in the country? You begin to see, when we are to talk of AI, distance is not a barrier. So you begin to see that wherever they are, they can begin to build tools of AI to address the Zimbabwean challenges. So basically, when we are to talk of AI, distance is not a barrier. And also, of course, I think the government can also begin on to do some effort to make sure whatever those tools that are made by those that are abroad, they can make it easier in terms of regulation and policy so that they can be deployed.
All right, and moving to financial services, with the adoption of AI increasing in this sector as well, what upgrades are being made to Zimbabwe's technical infrastructure to support secure and scalable AI systems? Because when we're looking at financial services, we're also dealing with personal issues that is around people's monies.
Yes,
what is being made to make this space secure when you're talking about AI?
All right. So when we are to talk of this, you begin to see that the government has been making efforts. So you see the Data Protection Act, that's one. And also to talk of the infrastructure, you begin to see, like I mentioned, AI, these are powerful tools really. So they need access to good quality of internet. So you begin to see the 5G rollout, you begin to see the inception of the Starlink. But however, now I believe there is still more efforts that has to be done in order to guard people's data. But you can also begin to see that the companies around, they are making partnerships with the first world companies that are coming in with more advanced algorithms, more advanced tools to actually make sure they are protecting people's data.
All right, we're talking about protecting people's data, which centers around trust. What steps, if there are any, that are being made to build public trust in AI, particularly around ethical concerns and citizen engagement?
So basically, I think technically you begin to see that these companies are using what's called the blockchain technology. So you begin to see when they integrate the blockchain technology, it's much more easier one, and also it's much more safer in terms of security. It provides full-scale security in terms of keeping data.
All right, and looking at public-private partnerships, what role do these PPPs play in Zimbabwe's AI rollout, and how are issues around proprietary rights and confidentiality being managed to ensure there is transparency?
All right, so you begin to see that the private companies in the country, they have begun on a mass rollout of building data infrastructures, data centers around the country. So this then begin to provide security. Previously, you'd see that if we, as a country, if we didn't have these data infrastructures, our data will be kept, let's say, in South Africa, because that is where the data centers are. But right now, you begin to see that most of the private companies that are into IT and tech, they are building data centers. So this is offering security, because all this data of the people that are being kept in the country. So I think that really provides security.
All right, and you touched on the Cyber and Data Protection Act in most of your responses. This forms the backbone of AI regulation right now in Zimbabwe.
Yes.
Can you speak on its limitations in addressing complex issues like issues of ownership, issues of attribution, and issues around AI-generated content? Does it specifically talk about the ownership when you create something using AI? Does it really speak around the ownership or the attribution of that content, and what are the limitations around addressing that?
So I believe as a new act, it really speaks so well, but however, it may have some limitations, because you begin to see some of these AI-created content, when you are to claim IP over them, actually the AI content creator too also claims the IP to that content. So you begin to see we are making steps towards that. These are not baby steps, but we are actually making steps toward that. So however, the current Data Protection Act, it actually speaks to an extent, but however, it may have some limitations in the regards that you begin to see most of these content creation tools, they are foreign tools. So immediately as you create your content, they will actually claim ownership on your content.
All right, so what clauses would you think the government needs to pick up to address these limitations that are around issues of ownership? Because as we're speaking now, AI is not something that is coming in the future. It's something that is live and breathing now, that we're using now.
Yes, sure.
And if there are limitations now to something that is already in the works, there are now gaps for people to do certain things that they are not supposed to do, or claim ownership on creations that belong to the next person. So what clauses would you think the government needs to factor into the act?
Okay.
If I may say so.
All right, so you begin to see that there are two things involved here. There is innovation and policy. So there have been multiple debates over what should be leading the other. So we are looking at policy, we are looking at innovation. So in this instance, we are looking at the content created, and we are looking at the policy. So what should be leading the other? So I believe innovation is the one that is supposed to lead, and then policy comes after. So with that regards, I believe the efforts that the government have made, they have allowed innovation to lead and policy to come. So I believe the other limitations that may be noticed as innovation is leading, the government will constantly be making efforts to make sure they regulate innovations. So I believe so far so good. Of course, there might be limitations, but concurrently, I believe the government will be making efforts in order to regulate and police.
All right.
Yes.
So I think when we're talking about AI, we also have to talk about it in relation to energy demands and the environmental impact of the large-scale AI systems. So how will Zimbabwe's environmental policies evolve to address this, the energy demands? Because when we're talking about AI, also talking about infrastructure, which demands a lot of energy. So how will Zimbabwe's environmental policies work around this?
All right, so I believe also that there are policies, and there are policies out there that are speaking of green energy. We are looking at our solar energy. So really, I think that there's enough efforts. We've seen mass rollouts, and also, as I said earlier on, I mentioned of data infrastructures. All these data infrastructures, they are trying to make them green powered. So you begin to see that all of these data centers, they are solar powered. So that would then give them them a constant feed of power, because if you are to rely on our main grid, it might not be that much reliable. So I believe for every data center that is built, they are being run and powered by green energy. So I think that's a good policy and that's a good strategy in that aspect.
All right. And can you speak on the next concrete steps towards launching a national AI strategy? You talked about how there is a rollout of infrastructure to back up AI programs, but can you speak on the next concrete steps towards launching a national AI strategy? And how will the government ensure there is inclusive and ongoing multi-stakeholder involvement in this rollout?
All right, so already I'm very much aware that there are plans in terms of rolling out an AI, national AI strategy or roadmap. So basically, for every strategy, there have to be consultations. So we are talking of consultations to the academia, consultation to the business, consultation to various stakeholders that are involved. And I believe that is happening, and efforts are being made to do that. So basically, if you are also to look at the framework of the UNESCO AI readiness assessment, you begin to see for every member state country, they actually have to be subject of the to the standards of the UNESCO. So they actually tell the government to be subject to look at the academia, the business, all these sectors, so that they have a holistic approach, and so that when there is a rollout of this strategy, it is speaking to each and every sector of the country and the economy.
All right, and my last question is maybe how will the Zimbabwe AI landscape look maybe in the coming 5 years? I know it's moving rapidly, and there might be changes that are very, very rapid in the next month or the coming 2 months. But how would the Zimbabwe AI landscape be looking like in the coming 5 years?
Wow, so
in terms of catching up to the global world, and in terms of innovation and all.
All right, so what I foresee with the current steps that are being made in the field of AI, you begin to see in the next 5 years, I foresee a great and very huge leapfrog. So basically, if you are to talk of finance, we are inclining more to a cashless economy, because transactions, they will be done digitally. Already it's been happening, but in the next 5 years, more of our transactions or our economy will incline in the cashless economy, which is the future economy. To talk of health, we've already seen the government and even other private facilities inclining to telemedicine. So per se, we are looking in the health where you not need every day to be going to a health facility. In the comfort of your home, you invite the hospital, you invite the doctor to come over via your mobile phone. Also into agriculture, we're seeing smart farming. So really in the next 5 years, everything is going to be digitized, and everything is going to be smart. We have seen smart homes, we have seen smart cities, and I believe in the next 5 years we are going to be in a state where we are going to be a smart country per se.
All right. Outside of the government making efforts for the trust of people's trust on AI, are we ready as people to actually be putting our data there? And in short, because we're running out of time.
All right. So basically, I believe when we are to talk of tech, it does not consult people's readiness. There is a stage where tech is consulting people's readiness, but in this phase where we are in the phase of AI, it's no longer AI consulting. It's coming, and it's coming with full force. So it's either we go along with it or we lag behind. But I believe everyone is very much afraid of lagging behind. So we really have to be in this train and go together with AI. So by fire, by force, we should be ready.
All right, Emmanuel, yes. Thank you very much for joining us today on The Mint.
Okay.
Now, that is all we had for you in today's episode of The Mint. Good afternoon and pleasant viewing.
Didn't graduate. I guess I blew it.
You couldn't advise him anything. He would just look at you and say, so who do you think you are?
We were just like really spoiled.
And then they just give me the receipt not pay.
That guy walks in one day and then he says that he wants to make a movie.
He was blowing the money.
There was just like this